Morning, everyone. Welcome back to Hills and Hollers Homestead. And it's been a weekend, let me tell you. So we processed 75 Cornish cross this weekend. We did Saturday, and of course we put them on ice immediately afterwards. Put them in a chill tank and packed them in coolers on ice. And then yesterday we bagged them in shrink wrap bags. Man, we had to make some changes on the fly, and I'll show you why. Now we've got the tents down and everything. We're waiting for the sun to kind of dry the dew off the tents this morning, and I got the coolers all stood up, sprayed out with bleach and everything like that, and I'm going to hose them out here soon. But I ordered 4 kill cones, and I'll call these kill cones. A lot of people like to call them confinement cones. My whole thought on that matter is because they like confinement better than kill cones because it sounds better. Look, the actual act that we're doing, we are killing these animals. Something has to die in order for us to eat. Let's be realistic about it and quit sugarcoating stuff. I mean, when you try to use nice words to make something sound better, in the end, you're ultimately trying to pick up a turd by the clean end, okay? So these are kill cones. You put the chicken in a cone, its head comes out the bottom, and you either A, cut its neck, or B, cut its head off. So, now that's out of the way. All right, so I built this out of leftover and some scrap rough. I ordered the cones. These are from Wright Farm Products, poultry supplies. I got these, and they're big, and that's what I liked about them. And all the reviews and stuff that I read on them, you know, there's no problems with craftsmanship or anything like that. Everybody said that they worked fine. Specifically, I was looking at comments from people who were saying that, you know, if you have like 8-pound Cornish crosses, they fit perfectly in this. That's where we ran into a problem, because what we do with this is you put the chicken in these head first, and their head, you pop their head out the bottom here, and you can either cut their throat or cut their head off. And the cone, now of course I broke a screw off on this, the screw head off, so it's loose. But what happens is when you do that, this confines them, it holds them, okay? So they're kind of wedged down in there, and it doesn't affect their breathing or anything like that, like some people think it does. It just kind of cradles them, holds them, keeps them from flopping and kicking. Now they will continue to kick, but it holds them. Problem with that is ours were every bit of 8 pounds, 9, even maybe a couple 10-pounders alive, and they were they were so big that they fit down in here fine, but this is too long, and we couldn't get their heads out of the bottom. A couple of them we were able to get about that much of their head out, and not enough to do the deed, and so we had to. I mean, that's a big hit right there from the very beginning, because what do you have to do? You have to kill the chickens to process them. So unfortunately, I didn't want to go and start cutting these off, because if you look at this is rolled metal, and that way it's not sharp. If I cut these off, that's going to be sharp. Then I take a chance on, number one, injuring the chicken. If I put them in there and they start flopping around, you can injure them like that. And number two, you can cut yourself while you're doing it. And I didn't want to try to cut these off in the short time frame that we had on Saturday to get this done. We had 75 chickens to do. It was only 3 of us. A couple other friends came for a short period of time to help, but they ended up having to leave because of other commitments. So there was 3 of us doing 75 chickens, and let me tell you, it was an all-day affair. So I didn't want to cut these off and try to modify these immediately and try to make it work at that point. So honest to goodness, we just went back to the old way of doing things, and I got a log out here. I drove a couple nails in it. You stick the chicken's head in there, you pull down on her feet, kind of holds their head, and we done the deed. So now, a lot of folks are going to frown on that. Look, that's how it was done for a very long time. That's how it was done pretty much from the beginning. If you talk to a lot of the old folks, they'll talk about wringing a chicken's neck, where they grab a chicken a certain way by the head and spin it and take that head right off. Okay, so yes, I had a very sharp axe. We done the deed. We done it how we had to do it. We had to make adjustments to do it immediately. And like I said, I wasn't going to try to modify those cones on the fly and get it done like that, because I didn't want to create more of a problem than what we were already facing. All right, so with that done and out of the way, that explanation, with the next chickens that we do, that shouldn't be a problem, because we're not going to be doing a Cornish cross anymore, and the chickens that we're going to be raising have a different body shape. And if you look at like your dual purpose chickens, they don't get as big and round as ours were. If you look at those, they were literally bowling balls, and that should be fine. If not, I'm not going to be on a timeline where I have to do 75 chickens on a specific date. We're doing 10, 12, 20 chickens sporadically as we need to do them. So we can take time and modify as we need to, and I'll make sure ahead of time that they'll fit in there before we plan a day to process them. Now, this is the table that we bought. We bought this stainless steel table at an auction, and it was supposed to have legs on it, but it didn't. So I had to grab some 4x4s and some rough lumber here, and I made some makeshift legs on it. I still need to run a board across each side of it to stabilize it, but this is a stainless steel table. This worked out perfect for processing chickens. It's got an open end here, so with the way we're sitting on just a little bit of a slope here, everything kind of ran off here into buckets. This is the outdoor sink that we bought at the auction too, and it's already plumbed and set up for outside use, and this worked out fantastic. And it's already on wheels and everything, so we were good to go with that. That worked out great. This is a Cajun cooker. This is what we used as our scalder, and I mean, it worked absolutely fine. It's got the basket if you want to use the basket too, which it's not necessary, but the basket is there. And this is a 60 quart, which about 15 gallons, and just goes to an LP tank, and hook it up and get the water up to 145, 150 degrees, and put your chicken in there and just use a stick to kind of keep it, you know, submerged, and just kind of bob it up and down a little bit like that for about 90 seconds, and out of that into the plucker that we bought. And that worked out perfect. I mean, we had no issues with this whatsoever. Everything worked out perfect. So once they went from the kill cones to the scalder, they went to the plucker, which the plucker's inside put up by now. And then from that to the processing table, from the processing table to the sink for a good cleaning and a good rinse. And then we used this galvanized tub here as a chilling tank with ice and water. And then after they spent time in that to, you know, lower the core temperature of the carcass and everything, then they went into the big coolers in ice. So they sat in the ice overnight, and then we came out yesterday and put them in the shrink wrap bags and sealed them all up, and they're all in the freezer. So having to make a change on a fly yesterday or Saturday, yeah, that made a difference, and I really didn't want to go the route that we did, but we didn't have a choice. And I couldn't delay getting them chickens done any longer because we'd already planned for the weekend, had everything set up. And yeah, I could have tested it out beforehand and stuck a chicken in there, see if it would have worked, and then try to do a modification, at least a safe modification that was going to work and be, you know, okay to use. But I just didn't. So I figured it would use based on all the reviews and stuff that I seen. Now these chicken crates, this is what we transported the chickens from the tractors out to here too, in the back of the truck. We could only fit 6 chickens in each one of these crates, and these are not small crates. So we had some big chickens. In the future, for anybody who is going to raise Cornish cross for the first time, I would plan to process your chickens at no later than 8 to 8.5 weeks. I wouldn't take them out to the 9.5 week time frame that we did, because their growth was so well that we ended up some really big chickens, a lot bigger than we did in the first couple times that we'd done them. And it's really hot, I'm sweating. So you know, plan it accordingly. And once we get these, I wanted to get them frozen. We didn't want to waste time trying to weigh each one of them. I'm thinking we're going to come out with an average of about 6.8 to 7.2 pounds on each carcass. And that's carcass, that's not live weight. Now there are, of course, some of them that were a little smaller, and then we had a few hens in there, but overall we had some really big chickens. So I would do 8.5 weeks the next time. If we would do Cornish cross again, that's the time frame I would go with. And that would just be to avoid such big carcasses. And not that it's a bad thing, but if you're going to sell your chickens like a business and you're going to do it by the pound, people are going to look at you like, hey, that's a $35 chicken. I'm not paying that much for a chicken. And yeah, so you go from there. But anyways, that's what we ended up with out of the weekend. I apologize I didn't get any video of it. It was just, we were busy, we had a lot to do, and we had to make some adjustments on the run there. So that's why things didn't happen like we wanted to, or because things didn't happen like we wanted to. It's why I wasn't able to get any video, because we really had to hustle down after we tried to figure some things out. But today is just, like I said, cleanup day. They got the tents down. I'm going to get the stainless steel tables and stuff in the sink and get them put up, finish getting the coolers cleaned up and get them stored away. And then we're going to move on to the next project, and that is I'm going to grab that one chicken tractor. I'm going to actually bring it out here and put it over in the one side of the yard, and the chicks that we have brooding in the basement are going to go in it like today. And I'll put a little electric fence around them with the electric netting that we have out there. I'll put a 100-foot piece around them. I'm not going to let them out of the coop yet, or out of the chicken tractor yet, but I'll put it around there just as some extra protection because we've got raccoons and skunks and possums and coyotes and fox all around here. So I'll move them out today, get that brooder cleaned out, because we got 16 Delaware broilers coming this week, and they'll need space in the brooder, so we'll get that done. Also, I'm going to try to get back to work on the rabbit hutch and try to get it done so we can get our rabbits over here and get them growing and get them bred and everything and start that process. But it's going to be a busy day. I'll keep you guys updated with another video maybe by tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at. In the meantime, keep working to starve that system before that system starves you. Take care, be prepared, and God bless.